Hi, and welcome to this 11th capsule. And today we are going to talk about the conception and the beginning of the pregnancy. So we are in the Pyrenees again, in Lac Aubert at 2,200 meters, and behind me the Ramon, just before the the peak I.D.E.A.L at 3,091 meters. So this is a really well place to talk about the moment, this perfect moment of conception when we conceive the children. We have seen in the previous capsule that everything is about inspiration. Conception is how we conceive things physically, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And of course, to conceive better, we need to have a better environment. More the nature is inspiring, like here. Could be close to the sea, in the campaign, in the country. Sorry, any place who are very uplifting are very important. We know that through epigenetic that we drink, we eat our environment, and we select genes when we, because of our environment, that's oriented our health. And of course oriented how we are to encode our children. And epigenetics is amazing for that. It's explained what we talk, when in the past we was talking about positive energy, positive thinking, positive thought. Now today it's explained with epigenetics. And because it's literally has an impact of how the molecules and the genes, the electromagnetic field is designed to oriented our molecules and our genes in fine. So important to be in a beautiful place, or because it's much more uplifting to develop, to be in fact the idea is to be inspired. So our conception of things, of life, is at the right level, at the right altitude, let's say like that today for the capsule. So for this purpose, of course we know that the physical things, food, and to be far from chemical and all that are so important. So some things to know about the principle of conception, to simplify it with the couple at 4. We know that the woman can emit a very wonderful ideas and penetrate the brain of the man with his ideals, what she desires, how she will attract this soul, these human beings that are going to come, and it's impact the brain of the man, which is so sensitive. All our senses as men are so feminine, so receptive, and so from the light on our eyes, the idea she has on the brain, it's really literally trigger our brain, and this trigger has an effect on our body and our sex, and create like a field of energy that is going to go back in the woman and penetrate her with wonderful energy, wonderful stream. We could imagine that it's like creating or triggering a river of gold, of light, which is supported by this white spermatozoid and go toward the woman. So we just, everybody has the same, has a wonderful potential, not the same, but a wonderful potential. And the idea is to activate it. And of course, the epigenetic, the environment is so nice for that. So for conception, we can use effectively the space, the power of the space, of the nature to inspire us. But in the meantime, we can use what we call the uprising forces of nature. For example, now the sunrise, and it's when the sun rises, of course, something very uplifting. In the meantime, we can use certain moments of the years, like for example, the spring. During the spring, all the forces of nature are rising up, and or we can use the forces of the moon. After the first week of the rising moon, we have an amazing strength in nature, and the gardener know that they use it for in gardening, and so we could combine in. Be in a beautiful environment in nature's, close to a lake or in the mountain or close to the sea, and be very inspired, and at that time using and conceiving a baby at the rising sun, when the sun rising up, at the sunrise, sorry, um, after the first week of the rising moon of the month of May, to have all the spring energy. This is just to figure out how we could use nature and time to stimulate this inspiration. But anytime, any days of the year, the most important is when you feel enthusiastic, inspired, kindle. When you have all these elements, this is a good moment to conceive a children. So just to be more clear on the importance of inspiration, that trigger, that select the best in us. Again, epigenetic application. So now the children, how does it work? When the spermatozoid arrived, it's not like we have thought in the past. It's not a penetration. In fact, it's an unveiled. And we see in the biology how the nature is really based on a gentle manner. In fact, this masculine energy arrived with these white cells, like wave of thousands of billions of cells that come and make the way inside the woman. And when they reach the area of the ovum, with each wave are going to unveil certain membranes. We could say in fact it's a layer around the ovum, and every spermatozoid, each wave are specialized to unveil wave by wave, membrane by membrane, let's say, to reach the ovum. And when the ovum is reached, you have it's not a penetration. In fact, it's an opening. It's an opening of the ovum that creates a little hole to attract exactly the perfect spermatozoid for this ovum, the one which has the better potential for the more healthy kid, and everything is perfect for these children. So it's really a love story, and we can see in nature that there is no penetration with needles or whatever. It's not a penetration. It's penetration of the sex, yes, but again, it's normally when there is love and respect in between the two gender. It's a woman who open her to this sex, that enter her. Same thing for the ovum. This is really a gentle matter to massage the ovum and to let this ovum be open to this spermatozoid. And we have this fusion of the DNA of each, but much more than the DNA. In fact, all the liquid that was into the spermatozoid, and this transfer of energy. So at that moment, just 15% of the DNA will be encoded and stay and carry the transgenerational DNA to help these children to survive the best in this environment, in this family. So after that, we have these cells, multipotent or omnipotent cells, that are going to develop and developed in 100 of them to create what we call the morula state. It's like a blackberry. And when this blackberry is made, after 1 week, it will be specialized in different cells to create the whole body and all the structure, the bones, the organs, everything during the first 2 months. So these first 2 months are so important. The first part, of course, the first months, we are waiting to know if pregnancy there or not. And this is a moment of waiting. This is a moment where it's so welcome to be internal, to like when we wait, when we hope. And it's the starting of making a quantum leap to reach this energy of prayer, let's say like that. Like when you're in a church and you want to pray, you want to hope, you develop your faith and your hope for the bad things you can have in life. So this is these moments that are so precious to develop and to nurture. So but this is literally a quantum leap. We have to establish the nest for the mother, but the nest for the father, ideally. And for that, the ideal is to change the way you eat, to change the way you feel, to change the way you think and you believe in life, and to become a mother and a father, because as soon as these cells are developing, you already are mothering and fathering this baby. So why not to be connected to this energy? In fact, for the first months, when you are in the waiting, in expecting if you are pregnant or not, you have this moment where the hormones are not yet present, and the best at that time is really to start to be in this like when you enter in this energy of a church or a place of internalization of yourself, and you can establish what I like to call the nest. And the nest is of course is this change on the physical, emotional and mental level, but much more in the spiritual level. We know with epigenetics that we are going to absorb our environment, but this ability to absorb it depends mainly on the membrane that interfere with this environment. And we can create this membrane, we can create a kind of aura of white light around us, around the couple, around the family, around the baby, especially around the mother, to create a kind of membrane to interact and filter the good energy we want to connect with and to repulse the negative one we don't want. And these things is very simple to do every morning when we wake up, and a couple times during the day, to just immerse ourselves in this light, and to wish to receive all the good elements that are useful for our children and repulse the one that are not good. This is more a spiritual activity, which is so important and so useful, because again, we know in epigenetics that this interface, how we receive our environment, we have the choice to close ourselves to negative things, exactly like for food. We can choose to eat glyphosate, or we can refuse it and have organic food. Same thing for emotion. We open to certain emotion and we close to the other. Same thing spiritually. We can create this light circle around us, this bubble of light, or this ocean of light around us, this tachyonic field around us, to reinforce our electromagnetic field that interfere with our environment, and be protected in a world where beauty is not really the first thing which is worship in our world, and human qualities. So if we want to transfer that to our children, why don't we give us the best possibility, knowing the effect of epigenetics and the principle of these membranes, this interface in every level. So during these first 2 months of embryologic life, of course, one moment very important is when you have the announcement of the birth, of the conception. And this moment is very important to be ready to welcome it, and to be ready to announce it to your partner, and eventually to your family. But first to yourself, to welcome it. To feel welcome is linked to how you are attentive, how you respect, how you are present for the one who is coming. And this is the first A, to feel welcome or not welcome in life later on. So the first imprint of that. So be ready to welcome really with honor, with love, with adoration and intensity these children who is coming, and share it, and do the same in couple. And when you feel ready, you can say it to your family, but please watch out to not say it too early to your friends and all that, because first you have jealousies around you most of the time, sadly, that creates negative energy that you don't want to fight when you start and you are nesting so sensitive and receptive. And second, you never know what will happen, so it's better to wait that the baby is secure and safe before to sharing it with friends. In ancient tradition, and it's still alive in India, for example, people have the use to put a red cord attached to the entrance door, so people respect this house and don't come to disturb people. Especially they do that at the birth of the children. But this is a very interesting idea to protect the children coming. Secondly, after that, you have the start after 1 month of all these hormones that create nausea, morning sickness, and in fact, it invites you to change your life. It's to make this quantum leap, to become a mother, to become a father. But for women, of course, they experience it in their body, and it's really to change your rhythm. It's really for some women, you are very active, but you have developed this welcoming, this to feel available, sorry, to your children, and the morning sickness just is there for perhaps a few days a week, and it's over, because you have changed your mind, you have changed your mood, and you're really there to welcome. For other women, they are very quiet, but they are not welcoming, and they could keep the morning sickness the whole pregnancy. So morning sickness are really a call from nature to nest, to develop this inner church, this sacred place for the children to develop it in him or herself. So this is another aspect of the work to do after the first months, and of course during this time the baby is the embryo is under the law of everything or nothing, meaning that the baby is going to develop or die, and if it develops normally everything is fine. But we have two proteins, IGF-1 and IGF-2, who are very sensitive to certain chemicals like glyphosate, like certain pesticide or very toxic stuff, or very intense emotional trauma, and that could really affect the development of the structure of the baby and create impairment. So it's very, very important to pay particularly attention to have a good food and quiet environment to develop these nests, and to build what I like to call this Russian doll system. The baby inside the mother inside the father inside the family inside the society, and for that, or inside friends, team and society. So you have to build that, ideally to prepare it before, but it's really the moment for the mother to welcome the baby, but for the father to become like really a nest for his wife and for his partner, and become really to stop asking her things, but becoming really a helper, a mother for her. And so it's a mother surrounded by other mothers. And today we know that pregnancy is no longer a story of just women. It has to become a story of couples and families and societies. It's really an obligation, or not an obligation, but it's a common sense, knowing what we know with epigenetics today. So all these 2 months are the more quiet insidely for the mother, and really the moment to be really in the meditation mode, in the contemplative mode, in the hope mode, and to nourish in your mind, in your heart, in your soul, the best qualities you want to attract for your children, to charge this baby with all your best wishes for this baby. And so you're going to select the best energy for these children, and really think to these children much more than all the comfort and everything. So there is really a quantum leap to become parents at that time. So it's really a strong invitation to consider this moment as a really a grace, quiet as so quiet as this lake, to get inside you and giving this space, welcoming, but welcoming like a king, queen, a soul, a spirit, and let these children be surrounded by the best of yourself. Have a good day.